I go on Hinge. The first Hinge date I go on was actually the guy who was a part of Lauren's storyline the entire show.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Wait, the guy?
Like the Lauren Dave guy.
The guy.
The Lauren Dave guy.
The hookup guy.
The hookup.
How small is Minneapolis?
Dear Shandy. Welcome back to Dear Shandy, listeners. Hello, Andy.
Hello.
Hello. You're across from me.
I am so far.
I know.
What do we have here?
I know. What do we have here? We were saying that we're flanking them. They're like our children right now. This is very exciting. A big deal.
Big deal.
Yes. We have two, what do we say, contestants? Cast members.
Stars
Ooh.
From season 8 of Love is Blind, Minneapolis. And we're really, really, really excited, Meg and Mason, to have you here today to chat about your relationship. I'm observing the body language. We're trying to figure out what's going on. There's been touching, but yeah, there's been so much.
Best friends?
Yes, best friends. We want to know about your relationship, where you stand right now, and also about your experience with the show, watching yourself back, all the things. So thank you so much for joining us, Meg and Mason.
Thanks for having
We're
us.
so excited to be here.
Oh.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Yeah.
you. We were thrilled when this connection happened because I don't know. I was telling Meg that sometimes watching the show and watching the reactions that some audience members had, I felt like I was like watching a different show. I was on a
Another
different planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're going to hear it from the horses' mouths. And yeah, I first want to know where you stand. What is going on? There's an arm around her.
Oh my gosh, you're getting right into it. You want to
Right
start
in.
with
No, we
that?
gotta
I
go
thought we were
with
going to end with that.
Because you know
my
it's
God.
going to
No.
color everything else we talk
You're
about.
so right. You're so right.
I
Let's go.
noticed there was a little bit of touching earlier.
Little flirtations.
Yeah, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
And they earlier went to the bathroom together. I have to point out
Yeah.
that is
You're
worth
airing
noting.
us out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
We trusted
I
you
believe it
guys.
was the same bathroom, same.
No.
Both
Well, 'cause
Different
that's something
stalls.
we do as a couple. We go to
different
the bathroom.
stalls. Okay.
Yeah.
We went to the same bathroom, but that was for function, not romance. Anyway, tell us, beautiful couple, what are you?
So at the reunion, we said that we were just friends because we actually were at the time.
Oh my God.
It's kind of crazy because living through the whole show and watching it back and everything, we just kind of were there for each other, and
Yeah.
through that rekindled, and now we're taking it slow and seeing where things go. So
Yeah.
that's
I think it's such an interesting experience because we did try dating twice, like we said. And I think throughout that, we kind of were like, okay, there's some things that we really want in this relationship that just aren't there yet. And we didn't want to force it. And so we've had a year together of truly being best friends, like talking nearly every day, showing up for each other in some of the hardest, parts of life the past year. And then when the show drops, just really being like the shoulder that we leaned on. And it just brought us so much closer together.
Oh.
And we've worked on those things that originally weren't really working in our relationship to now I feel like it's like a really good balance, and we kind of figured out what we needed to.
Oh my God. Okay. I have so many questions based
Do
on
we have an
this.
applause break? or
Yeah.
no?
I mean, I have been shipping this for a very long time.
We have been recapping dating shows forever, and I'm telling you, this is the happiest. This fills my heart so much. This news,
Yes.
I'm totally serious. But usually, I hear people are together. I have to say I'm happy for them,
Yeah.
and usually I'm somewhat happy, but I'm not genuinely happy. I want this to work.
Yeah.
Aw, thank
I do. You
Well,
guys
me
are
too.
great.
Me too.
it's going great so
We both
far.
do.
So
Yeah.
just no overthinking it. Just
Yeah.
see where it goes.
Do you tend to be overthinkers?
I mean, like Meg said in the last year, I know I had some stuff just to work on in being a partner that Meg needed. And I think through being best friends throughout this last year,
Yeah.
we were able to just actually knock it out of the park and become a better version of myself to lead to this point where we're in a much better headspace to actually tackle this relationship.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, so you said you tried twice.
Yeah.
And then when it didn't work or when you took a break or whatever, did
Yeah.
that involve watching yourself back or the relationship back? I'm just curious. It's just because I feel like the inception of this relationship is so different from any other relationship.
For
You talk to
sure.
either of your friends, they're not going to have the experience that you've had, right? And it's like you're going in reverse, right? You start with all the deep stuff
Yes.
or the theories, the
Yes.
beliefs that
Yes.
you have
Yep,
based
gotta
on
have the
YouTube.
theories.
And I'm just curious, why didn't Like, why is it working now and not before? I'm curious.
Yeah. I mean, do you want to, I feel like some of it is deeply personal
Sure.
things.
That's fair.
And so if you're willing to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can take it. I feel like a lot of the reason we didn't work out was because of who I am as a partner, or who I was essentially. Basically, I am such a people pleaser in a relationship where I will just drop anything that my partner wants to do. If that's like hanging out in the afternoon, I'll cancel plans or whatever I have going on to go do that, because I expect my partner to do that kind of stuff, and just always there. And dating Meg, she wanted someone who had their own opinions and just essentially backbone, just kind of like make up your own decision and like, no, I don't want to do that tonight. I would like to go do this. Would you like to do that with me?
Yeah.
Not so much disagreeing, but just having your own opinion and
Autonomy.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Autonomy and just, I mean, I've always loved Mason, and I feel like knowing his history of relationships, I feel like he's always sacrificed so much of himself.
Yeah.
And bent over backwards in a way where I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want? Set boundaries for yourself. Tell me who you are. Tell me, like, if you disagree, that's okay. We can have a really cool discussion about our disagreements.
Yes.
And I need that in a relationship.
Yeah.
And so I think every time we tried to date, we were just hitting that same wall of like, what do who are you? What do you want to be in the relationship?
Oh my God, can I date you? That sounds amazing.
Right? Like,
Wow.
she just wants what's best for me. And that's just insane.
She wants you to be your truest
Yeah.
self.
Exactly.
She wants more Mason.
That's
what you want,
that's
right?
truly what it was. That's truly what it
Wow.
was. And it's cool because through our friendship then, I saw him do that, where I'd be like, hey, can you watch my cats this weekend? And he'd be like, yeah. And I'm like, if you can't, just say no, I'll find someone else. And he'd be like, and he'd call me back and be like, yeah. He'd call me back and be like, I can't watch your cats. And I'm like, great, I'll find someone else. And
Good
so
for you.
as
Put your foot
friends,
down on
It killed
those
me,
cats.
but now we're here.
yeah. So as friends, I think we felt more ability to be honest with each other and just like work on those things in the friendship, to where now in the relationship, like it's just so much better. It's like, I feel like we're both showing up the way we needed to for each other.
Also,
Yeah.
this feels very grown up to me. Like,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that there's this sort of juvenile impression of a relationship that it is, that we automatically want the same things. You want the other person
Yeah.
to drop everything to do what you want to
Yeah.
do, but actually that gets old
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
So
Right.
mad respect. I love this. And it sounds like,
Yeah.
This is a good
No
thing to
matter-
work on.
yes.
Of all the things I've heard people working on, this is a good topic.
Yeah. I feel like we line up on almost everything else. And to your point too, I think this is the most, for me, like safe I have felt, and like the healthiest by far relationship I've been in. To where for me it was hard too, because I was like, do I love you? Because I don't have that like anxious attachment of like, oh my gosh, he's avoidant and I have to win him over. And to me, that was the feeling of love. And this is so safe and comfortable. I don't have to do anything to be accepted or loved by Mason. And so I think for me, it is very healthy, and that's new for me. And so like, it's something I had to get used to like be in the relationship as well.
Same with me. I mean, I've never had such a healthy, caring relationship with a partner who actually wants the best for me. So this is just a whole new world for me.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many bullets you guys dodged to get here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bulletproof.
Yes. Like I said, such a unique coming together. When you did your big reveal, I think it was just, can I say I have a complaint about the
Tell
big
us.
reveal?
What
so
is
you're
it?
wearing the original outfits. Love that. Why was this only captured on one phone? And we don't get to see your expressions. I wanted to see the like up and down, like on each of you. And instead it was just like a run and hug.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky we got that video, because Meg's sister, Mo, was actually the one who recorded that. So I technically got to meet Meg's sister, who let me into the apartment before I actually got to meet Meg in person.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's the one who actually had the phone and set it all up. And basically was in between us and said, all right, guys, go. I'm
She
rolling.
gets all the points.
Yeah.
I think I told her not to film it too because I was so nervous for it that she was like, do you want me to get a video? And I was like, no, I'm scared. Don't get a video. This is just for us. And then I think last minute I was like, yeah, do a little something so that if this turns into anything, we have that memory together.
Yes.
And I'm so glad she did because
Yes.
I watch that and smile every time.
Oh,
Like, I'm
no,
just
it's
like,
such a special
the
moment.
way that he hugs me and like nuzzles into my neck, I was like, oh, like when it happened, that was my first time meeting him. So I was like, he likes me. Like, because he like nuzzled right in. I was like, this is not a friendly hug.
I would honestly give like everything I have to have a
I
video of
know.
us first meeting.
I
So
know.
I think your sister deserves all the points.
Yes.
We talk about
She
this sometimes.
does,
We're
yeah.
like, can you imagine if there was like hidden camera footage?
Ah,
You know, it's because you never know. It might be the relationship that is like it for you. And then you
Yes.
have that forever.
Yes.
but I am so much better looking in my mind in that,
Oh,
first
no,
meeting.
no, don't fish.
Better.
Don't fish.
No.
Okay, so first impressions then. You know, you have the big reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a little bit in that party scene, I think in the third batch. You know, you mentioned her being gorgeous, which obviously she is, but I'm just curious, like what were your impressions of each other meeting in the flesh?
Yeah. I've never dated someone that looks like Mason.
Really?
Never. So
So what's the look that you've dated?
I just not Mason.
Not handsome?
Yeah, not
Not
right.
debonair?
Exactly. No.
Not perfect head of hair?
Yes. No, he's has never necessarily been like my go-to type. So the experiment worked. It really did for me because I was like, okay, he's not someone that I've dated in the past, but obviously I think he's very handsome now. So to that point, I do feel like the experiment did work for us because I think in the real world, if I would have met Mason, I wouldn't have, just based off looks, like I wouldn't have gone
What's
there.
the look you're going for?
Yeah, seriously.
I
I
need to
feel
know.
like Mason is universally
Yeah, like what's
accepted
wrong
as
with
like,
like
one of the-
how could you
the
not be
handsome
attracted
ones.
to Mason?
It's not
I had to
that
take my sweater off.
It's not that I wasn't. He's just not my go-to type in the
Huh.
real world.
All
He's
right.
but I
So your
mean,
go-to
now
type
he
is ugly, ugly bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. That you nailed it.
Got it.
Yes.
How about you, Mason?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like this experiment, just being in the pods and like not knowing what Meg looked like, but knowing like just the shining light that she has and the presence that she was is like, this is what I've been missing in relationships. Like I can see myself being very happy with this person.
Mm.
So regardless of who it is on the outside, like the inside is just amazing. So, and Meg was telling me in the pods also that she's a supermodel.
Did not say that.
You-
Hold on.
You were
Would never say
a
that.
photographer. You
Would
said you were a
never say that.
model.
Megan Fox?
I said
Was she Megan Fox?
yes. Some people confuse me for Megan Fox. No, I said I like photography and I like being in front of the camera as well.
For sure.
But
Oh.
I wasn't like I'm really hot.
Not super
like
model.
did
Yeah.
not say
Model.
that. Yeah.
But when I was at the airport in the airplane looking for Meg, I saw all of her pictures and like, oh yeah, she looks very good in front of the camera. So this checks out.
His voice, I can't get over
I love it.
When we spoke with him earlier, I'm looking at the camera now for our Shandy, but when he first opened his mouth, I was like,
It's
oh
like
my God,
a-
it's Mason.
It's like a late night jazz DJ. It's
Do
like
you
now
see
we're gonna be pulling
Why I
out
fell
some
for
of the
him
deep
though,
cuts.
like in the pods with the voice.
Oh,
Like-
I no one is wondering.
God.
I mean, first of all, this was very clear to everyone. Anyone who doesn't feel this way, I don't understand those people.
Yeah.
To us anyway, watching the way you guys bounce off each other and like inspire. This is my favorite thing about your dynamic is that it's a tangent on a tangent. Like you go on the little twig at the end of the branch on the
Yeah.
tree. It's not just like the trunk the whole way.
Yeah.
That's a terrible
Yeah.
analogy.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? The conversation goes in fun directions
Mm-hmm.
and it's not necessarily what you planned. But I think that that's what a real relationship, a real conversation is.
Right.
It's not like, oh, how would we suit
Yeah.
each other in the real world? It's like you were talking about like aliens and
Yeah.
shit.
yeah.
I think it was really fun. Do we want to talk about aliens?
We're gonna have a separate episode. We're gonna have 2 more episodes,
Yes,
you guys.
yes,
Aliens and Love
good.
Fest.
When you guys were broken up, did you date other people and like miss each other? Is that what brought you back together? Like, did you date at all? Did you make each other jealous?
No, so truthfully, I only went on one date this past year, and it was after we broke up the first time. And I'm like, all right, I need to start moving on. I need to let go of this experience. I go on Hinge. The first Hinge date I go on was actually the guy who Lauren was a part of Lauren's storyline the entire show.
Wait.
Wait.
The guy who no.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Wait, the guy?
Like the Lauren Dave guy.
The sex guy.
The sex Lauren Dave guy.
The hookup guy.
The hookup.
How small is Minneapolis?
Pretty
that
small.
And when I tell you, I did not go on a date again after that
Oh.
because I was like, I truly feel if I date someone now, it's going to be someone's brother, someone's ex. And so I was like, I'm over
Wow.
it.
So and he how did you find that out?
We were talking about, it came out super weird. He was talking about like, oh, I don't drink as much anymore. And I was like, yeah, you know, like I go out, I have like a really big group of friends that goes out and sometimes I join. And he's like, oh, like where did you meet them? And I was like, can't really say. Like I didn't know what to say. So I kind of froze and he was like, can I ask you a weird question? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, were you on Love is
Oh
Blind?
my God. Oh my God.
This
and
guy.
I was
This
like,
guy.
a deer in headlights. I was like, maybe, why? And then he told me he was the one
Oh
in the
my God.
situation with Lauren and Dave.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
Lord.
I couldn't
Are
believe
you
it.
kidding
I
me?
could not
Are you
believe
kidding
That's
me?
funny.
Yeah.
It's a 1 to 10, this guy. What is he? Is he, watch out for this guy?
I saw him one time and
Okay.
I gotta be honest, I immediately I left and called
Called the
Mason.
police. Oh, you're going to call Mason, right?
Called the police. I left and I dialed 911. Come get your man. He escaped from prison. No, I left and I called Mason. I said,
Let's get back together.
That's it. Oh my
I've
God.
experienced what's out there and I miss you.
Oh my God. You owe that guy a thank you.
I guess, yeah.
Oh, he's not bad. Okay.
Okay, so I want to know, watching yourself back,
Yeah.
what surprised you most? Like, did anything catch you off guard? Is what you saw exactly how it felt for you? What happened according to you? What's the number one thing or the top 3 things that watching it back you were like, huh?
For me, one of my biggest fears was I'm an editor, so I know like what they can do. Like,
Yeah.
oh, they can cut this little part out or end this conversation here and mislead the audience with that stuff. So when I was watching it back, like my top thing was like, okay, I am relieved. It's actually me just being in there, being myself. Like I thought they would edit it completely different, but everything stayed pretty true to what it was. So I was pretty relieved on that.
Okay.
Could not disagree more.
Wait, was that like the careful answer?
No, honestly.
No, I believe him.
No, I mean, no, I'm just curious. Okay,
Yeah.
so from your perspective, okay, I want to hear Meg then.
You know, watching it back was like a mirror, which I wanted because not a lot of people have the experience to watch themselves on TV and see what you like about yourself and what you don't like.
Yeah.
And I've always been a very enthusiastic, high energy person. But watching it back, I was like, I need to take a chill pill. Like, I did not know how high energy, like manic. A lot of people were like, girl, do you not know you have ADD? Like,
Aw.
and
Well,
it's true. And
we
so
all have ADD now. Let's be
Right,
honest.
right.
Social media, it's over. We all
Yeah.
have ADD.
Yeah,
Let's accept
agreed.
it and live with it.
yes.
Interestingly, the one thing that I thought was an imbalance between you guys was the energy levels. I thought that it might be
Yeah.
an issue, that you're high and you were more low.
Yeah.
But now you're saying that's not really how. I mean, I could see you now. You're less
Yeah.
high energy than
Yeah.
you were on the TV.
Yeah. I think that was something actually that he brought up was like, I'm nervous because you have a lot of energy. You're always at a certain level. And I remember saying, I love how chill you are. I think it balances me out. Like, I don't need somebody at my
Yeah.
level at all times. I
Right.
really like more mellow people because I feel like it is the counterbalance to me.
Yeah.
And it was cool because I told him that. And he's like, all right, cool. Like, and then we just like moved past it.
Honestly, when you told me that just like weighed off my shoulders. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I can truly be myself then,
Yeah.
and it will
Yeah.
work, you
Yeah.
know, organically. So it
Yeah.
did. And
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about that the other day about how even nowadays, I'm pretty grounded with certain things,
Mhm.
and you're really outgoing. So it's just
Mhm.
a nice balance of like, let's bring it back down to earth, or let's go
Yeah.
be a little more outgoing. You know,
Yeah.
just a nice little back and forth we have going. So-
Definitely.
So, Charlene, let's talk about cherry trees for a second,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe more than a second, because I can't stop talking about my fast growing cherry tree.
Oh, from Fast Growing Trees. It came delivered so perfectly packaged, so ready to thrive. They have an Alive and Thrive guarantee over at Fast Growing Trees. They are the largest online nursery in the US. So if you are in the market for a fruiting tree, flowering tree, a house plant, a shrub, any kind of plant basically, then Fast Growing Trees, you should not be going anywhere else.
I literally want to move to the country, buy a house just to adorn it with fast-growing trees.
Oh, we talked actually. So we were on the roof deck yesterday. Andy was tending to his cherry tree, which has buds all over it, by the way. It's getting so exciting. It's like in that pre-spring state.
Yeah.
I said, if we lived in the country, would you buy one of these? And he was like, I would buy 5.
5. I would have a cherry orchard.
Oh.
This is what you can get with fast-growing trees.
And
They
what-
know what they're doing. They make a good tree.
Even if you're the kind of person who's like, oh, I can't keep anything alive, I don't have a green thumb. How cool is it that they guarantee it will thrive where you live? That's because when you search, you use your zip code and they only will show you results that will truly thrive where you live. And this is really important because what's the point, for example, of getting a lemon tree, which is what we originally wanted, if you live in New York City and a lemon tree is just not going to do
No,
well in your
it'll
climate.
just be a lemon. You got to have love with plants. Plants without love die. People without love die.
And people without plants die.
People without plants die.
Yes.
Yeah, get plants or die.
So this spring, Fast Growing Trees has the best deals, up to half off select plants and other deals.
And our Shandies get 15% off their first purchase when using code Shandy at checkout.
That's an additional 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com when using code Shandy at checkout.
FastGrowingTrees.com, code Shandy.
Now's the perfect time to plant. Use code Shandy to save today.
Offers valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Rocket money in your pocket, honey.
Good, Andy. Wow. Ooh. Who doesn't want money in their pocket? It saves you money. It saves you money that you might be spending without realizing it.
All of us are spending money without realizing it.
The world is designed to take money from us without our realizing
That's right.
it.
We're dripping like the proverbial holes in a cartoon character
Yes,
that got
there's
shot.
a hole in my wallet, dear Liza. No, don't know that one.
I'll trust you on that.
Okay, so Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can help grow your savings. Doesn't that sound nice to have maybe an app in your pocket filling the holes?
I'm not sure that's what you want to go with. And also, Rocket Money is not just something keeping an eye on the things you're spending money on that you don't want to. It's also keeping an eye on things you are spending money on
Yes.
that you might need to be aware of.
One of Rocket Money's coolest features is how they can help lower your bills. You can literally scan your bill, send it to Rocket Money, and they will negotiate a lower bill for you and even deal with customer service for you.
Rocket Money, brave people over there.
Yes, doing God's work.
So Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions.
Saving users up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features.
Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money.
Go to rocketmoney.com/Shandy today. That's rocketmoney.com/Shandy, rocketmoney.com/Shandy. Was there anything you watched back that was like on the other side? So like you watched Mason back on the other side and that surprised you and vice versa? So basically what you didn't see when you were filming? And did you ever watch together? Never?
Oh no.
Oh, you gotta watch.
I asked him if we could watch it together. And he was like, no, girl.
Not yet.
No, he said
Yeah.
no. That's impressive.
So, well,
Not too much of a people pleaser.
when we got out of the pods, and we met up for the first time, the night we met, we talked about everything that
Yeah.
happened, and you know what you guys saw is basically what happened. It was a pretty complicated situation, and I told Meg everything. And, you know, it wasn't easy to explain everything that I was going through or my head was at, you know, or what actually happened. You know, I was still just processing it myself. But I knew, like, by telling Meg everything, I could tell you everything, but for you to actually watch it back is going to be a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
So it's
And
just,
it was. There.
Yeah.
I mean, we were texting during it, and there were some times where I was like, I'm gonna need to process that one a little bit before I get back to you. It was hard to watch back because a lot of it, he told me everything, but a lot of it I didn't know
Yeah.
until I saw it.
Yeah.
And it was really shocking.
Okay.
And I had to work through it.
Okay. Shocking. Like, okay. I mean, I feel like we can't talk about your relationship, unfortunately, without talking about Madison.
I
I mean,
know.
Madison is like the invisible person in the room right now.
Yes.
It's like you can't not talk about Madison.
Right.
I feel like for your entire season, even though she also left at the end of the pods, but with you two specifically, I have so many questions around this. Is one of the things you're talking about him with Madison, like watching that
For
back?
sure.
Yeah, what was your
For sure.
number one most uncomfortable thing of watching it
number
back?
one
Yeah, go
most
through 1 to
uncomfortable.
2 to 3.
Let me get out the list. No, I think for me, it wasn't even what Mason said, because he did tell me everything he said. And like a lot of the conversations I was aware of. I had no idea that Madison told Mason, you're Meg's number one. Which really changed things.
Okay.
When I watched it back, I was like, Mason knew that. I don't, like, a lot of the time, I never knew he knew that.
Yeah.
And I never knew Madison knew that because I never told her. She was finding out through other people.
Wait. Oh, so you didn't tell Madison that?
No, we never talked.
Wait.
Madison never knew. I never.
Madison?
So predictable.
I never told Madison how much I was feeling Mason. She was going off of what other people were telling her. And
Can we
then
know who?
I'm not gonna name drop. They're not a part of like the main people that you see.
I'm just
Not the
curious.
main people.
Not the
side
people. Yeah, I mean they're just as much a part of the cast, but
The
she
commoners.
found out. No,
They're great people.
So she found out that way. So it was so funny watching it back to see the commentary that was going on of like she's super vocal. I didn't even know she knew until watching it back that she knew how much I liked Mason. I had not a single clue. So I was oblivious.
Yeah.
I was coming out
honestly,
of the
I'd be pissed if I were you. That to me,
Yeah.
out of all the things, there's a couple of things
Yeah.
obviously with Madison, but to me, that is actually a pretty big betrayal because
Yeah.
that's the first time, in my opinion, that she like really stepped into this.
Yeah.
You know,
It was
like
hard.
there obviously I think she did other things later too, but that it's like she's revealing a card
Yeah.
from your deck that belongs to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was playing, it doesn't look like it the way it's edited. But because in the lounge, I'm like swooning, right?
Yeah.
And I never said his name. So I didn't know. I knew some of the girls knew that I confided in, but I had no clue that it was making anyone feel any type of way.
Okay.
Because I didn't know she knew he was my number one.
Got
and
it.
so watching it back, seeing her say that to him was really hard for me because I was in our dates, I think, keeping things a little closer to the chest. You knew I liked you, but I would make it a point in our dates to say, we're both dating other people and I want you to pick what's best for you and same for me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be like, I'm all yours. I didn't want to put pressure on him at all. I never wanted him knowing he was my number one.
Right.
And in my interviews too, I made a point to say that. I'm not going to tell Mason that. I want him to be the one to tell me that.
Yeah.
So watching it back and seeing he knew, and I was going into my dates being like, I'm dating other people. And he's sitting there like, girl, I know I'm your only, like your number one.
Well, could you trust Madison's information though? I mean, could you trust that he trusted Madison?
I don't know, because at that point, you guys did have a good connection. So I think, you were trusting of what she was saying.
And I also think that I get the vibe from these two. I'm going to speak for you like you're not here.
Yeah.
But
They're not here.
what I liked about you, we related to you. Obviously, we liked you because we relate to you, right? And I am the kind of person that if someone tells me that information, I'm not going to be like, oh, that's not true, or that person is overstepping their bounds, or is
would be too
betraying me, or is doing.
malicious,
Yeah, I would just be like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to take that information at face value because I would never do that.
Because
to
you trust
someone.
the universe. You trust that no one's that bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's word that carefully.
Yeah.
But yes.
Oh, sorry. I mean, in general, hypothetically.
Well, so Mason, your perspective on this, I'm very curious. When you tell Madison that you're committed to her, what instigated that? What made you say something that you would later on be like, actually, that's not true?
So when
Good throat clearing.
thank you.
you could do another one if you want. Okay, good.
When I went into my date with Madison, the night before, we discussed, where we stand, and she had talked to me and said, you're being very vague about our relationship and beating around the bush and things like that. And the next morning I came in and, I had thought about how much my relationship with Meg meant to me. And, you know, I still had a really strong connection with Madison and was still trying to figure it out on my own. And that morning had another date after our talk. And basically was going to stop at, they actually show it in the show where I'm like, you know, you're the one I'm thinking about all the time. And it was going to end there. And I thought, you know, that was the end of my sentence, train of thought. And I was met with the same thing. You know, you're being really coy or beating around the bush again. And I really had feelings for Madison at the time. So that I felt like I needed to go somewhere more with someone that I had feelings for. And that's what drew that out of me. And it just sucked looking back on it and watching it, because I was literally trying to make up my mind organically on my own and to have something
external
else there
factor,
to get me to say that just really.
So it was like an interrogation room. They got it out of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
That, to be honest,
happens.
It was, hearing that is, not to make this about us, but it was kind of validating to hear that at the reunion when you talked about that, about how you felt pressured, right? I think you used the word pressure.
Yeah.
Because we had said we felt like, whether or not this was a tactic, you know, that there you could slice and dice just how manipulative you want to decide someone is. Like, obviously, everyone's going to project their own like experiences onto something. But to me, it felt like it did feel tactical. Like, I'm not getting the answer I want, and instead of just taking that at face value, I'm going to like punish for not hearing the answer I want. And so that's how it felt to me watching it back. Do you agree with me?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, we felt the same way.
Yeah. So I have to ask, if it weren't for Madison, do you think you two would have been
100%?
Okay. So major, I don't want to say major players. You were already major players, but you would have been a couple on the show in Honduras, in Minneapolis. You would have made it to the altar. Do you think?
I love this question.
I mean, surely you've thought about it, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about it a few times.
Yeah, definitely. I honestly, because of where we were at that time with the issues I was running into, that's so interesting because...
Yeah, but you'd be on vacation. Things would be easy.
True. We would have bonded in Honduras.
Sun, beach.
Yeah.
I think for me, we were just talking about this too. It wasn't, watching it back, it wasn't so much like, oh, I had to overcome that I was number 2 or default. It was more so of like, hey, I wish that you would have stood up for yourself and said what you wanted and, you know, been more forthright with all of us and just known yourself enough to be like, this is what I want, you know, and made those decisions. The conviction and like the concrete decisions of just standing up for yourself. Yeah. But if that was not a part of the equation and we went to the altar without me going through that kind of tug of like, I needed that from you, then I don't know.
Let's say, okay, because you used the word second choice.
Yeah.
Which when I watched it back, when we recapped, I felt like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I felt like Madison comes back from a breakup that tastes so good with you and then goes back and immediately reports to you. Is this all what we saw? Is that the correct order of events, or was anything?
There's more to it. That made it harder to watch for myself. But that was pretty true. I'm trying to think. She goes in, she comes back, says breakup tastes so good. That's pretty true to the experience. The reason I was so shocked in that moment was for other reasons, where I was like, what? I was so shocked that she went in and like basically told him I was ending things with him.
Yeah. Wait, told him that
she was ending things with Mason.
So when Madison was breaking up with me, she basically said, I told Meg everything. I told her.
Okay, yes, that part. So she was insinuating you might lose both.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Insinuating, but not outright saying that was going to happen.
Exactly.
Okay.
There was a lot to that conversation that wasn't shown. I can't believe they had a shot of me not just doing this while I was in the pods while she was breaking up with me. Like, what is going on? You talked to Meg about like what?
Yeah.
It just seemed like she was, a different person from the person that I've been spending the last few days getting to know the whole time. So, yeah, there was a lot of stuff that was missing.
Yeah.
How much of your breakup with Mason was kind of from pressure of image?
Yes. That's
okay.
Sorry, I want to know. So that Madison talks to you about Mason after that breakup.
Yeah.
I understand now.
Yeah, like
it seemed to us like if Madison just let the cards fall where they may, you would have ended up with Mason right there. But instead, there was pressure from the
fourth wall that, you don't want to seem like second choice. You don't want to seem like...
Yeah, you were standing up for yourself in a way.
That's how it felt. Did we have that wrong?
Did we have that wrong?
Yeah, so that's the one thing that... So before I went into this experience, I kind of made a promise to myself. I feel like I manifested everything that happened. Because when I went in, I was like, okay, from what I've seen on the show, a lot of people appear to be the second choice and say yes. And I asked myself, if you're in that position, can you say yes to that? And my answer was no.
Really?
Before I went on.
Okay.
Wow.
And I was thinking about it a lot because I know that's the love triangles, it's bound to happen. Of course, I didn't want to be in those shoes. But I was like, if that's something that happens, I can't say yes to potentially marrying someone if I feel like I'm a second choice.
Right.
I personally am not okay with that. So the second Madison came through the doors and said, I have a boyfriend, his name is Alex, I immediately was like, oh shit, I'm Mason's default. I'll never know.
Right.
If he would have said, Meg, you're the one out of all the girls, which was important to me.
Yeah.
To be like, I've dated everyone here. Our connection is the strongest, which is why I wasn't putting pressure on him. I wanted to see if he felt that way and if I felt that way.
Yeah.
So for me, the second Madison came to the doors and was like, I'm with Alex, I was like, I can't. It's going to be a no.
Oh,
yeah.
I find that so sad.
Yeah. A lot of people do.
Yeah. And I understand your reasoning. Like, we all want to be chosen, right? We all want to be each other's number one. But I feel like you couldn't, like the you that hadn't yet gone on this show and probably even were still filming the pods, like couldn't have possibly known what you were dealing with. And when I say what you were dealing with, I mean Madison.
Right.
Like, who is not... This is not a normal cast member who's like also weighing her options. It's like we said that she Michael Bay'd the whole thing. Like you were dealing with someone, I think, who was not just trying to find her love story. It was like she wasn't afraid to.
She was also, if she couldn't have Mason, no one was going to have Mason. That's what it looked like to us.
That's how it felt.
Yeah.
I think looking back, I definitely felt a little bit of that as well.
Yeah.
Watching it back, I didn't know everything that was going on, all of the moving pieces. So watching it back, I very much felt that way I feel like this was more calculated than what I was going into it trying to do, which was I really wanted to find my person. And so, saying yes to someone, to say yes to a marriage in 6 weeks, going into it on that shaky ground just felt like I'd be doomed from the start. And then it's, filmed for the whole world to see. When I'm already going into it feeling shaky, I wanted a really firm foundation walking into a situation like that.
It speaks to your sincerity, but we feel personally slighted.
Yeah.
We didn't get to watch you.
We got nothing.
No, it was we watched those 6 episodes of the pods and we got to the end and we were like,
yeah, we don't get any of the good people.
It was awful.
Sorry.
It was awful. Like, I blame you.
Yeah. You were the last hope. You were like, Meg's gonna do it. She's gonna do it. She's gonna rise above.
She let us down.
Now we got no one.
Yeah.
Who do we got? What was his name? Dave? Sorry. Sorry, Dave.
Shout out to Dave.
Shout out to Dave.
Rest in peace.
Okay. Mason, this one's for you. And it's not because I personally feel this way, but I know a lot of viewers felt this way.
All right, let's do
so
it.
what do
Pressure's
you
on.
say to people who watched you and felt that you led on to women?
That really drives me crazy when I
Okay.
hear that. It's just like, no. And if you knew me, I'm someone who just deeply loves love. And it's like when I fall for someone, I'm just all in. So this was kind of a nightmare situation for me, falling for multiple girls. So, I was very, very confused. And there was things like, it's highly encouraged to keep up your connections and see how far it goes. There's a reason we start with 16 girls and then we get down to 8. There's a day.
Wait, you start with 16.
You go on 16 dates.
Okay.
And then you rank the 16.
You have to rank like 1 through 16?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. No matter what, you have to write a name down.
Aren't a lot tied? You just kind of throw them in the bottom? You know what I'm saying?
That's the right idea. You fit in
Okay.
perfect in the pods.
and they're all great.
I'm doing it.
First dates, so it's hard to
Screw you.
rank.
I kind of want to experience.
Can I do
this.
it? Am I allowed to? We'll just make believe we got divorced and I'll do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I'm too
kind of
old.
relate to this. Like, if I want to experience what you experience, it seems incredible, and like you would learn so much about yourself.
Yeah.
It
But
is.
sorry,
Okay, go
continue.
ahead.
Okay, so you rank them.
Yes, you rank them. And the same goes for the girls. So by process of elimination, if someone is my number 1 and I'm their number 16, then we're automatically at the 8 position. So they kind of rank it that way. And throughout the days, you go from 16 the first day to I think 8, and then after that you go to 5,
It's
and
like
then
an NCAA tournament.
It's exactly like
Yeah.
that. March Madness.
Yeah. Wow.
so there comes a point where you eventually end the connections until you get to 1. So essentially that's kind of what we're doing. And, I'm in this Hollywood studio on the show, so I would like to abide by the rules a little bit and still feel my feelings. So it was a mix of like doing both things, and it was
Felt dirty.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I even said on the show it felt wrong just dating 2 women. It's like every ounce of me did not like that, but that's kind of the name of the
But the
game.
new Mason's okay with it.
New Mason's cool.
Better
It's like,
be.
whatever. Who cares? 2, 3.
Meanwhile, I was like, I'm going to do what I want. And I broke up with like all the guys. I was like, it's a friend thing. It's a friend vibe. Friends. Because I knew very early on, if it wasn't Mason, there was no
done.
one there for me.
Yeah.
I just felt that energy. I
Yeah.
was like, Mason's the only one I'm interested in.
Wow.
And so it's, again, I feel like very true to what our personalities are, where I was like, I'm going to do it my way. I've always just focused on one person in the real world. I'm not going to change that now. I don't want to divide my energy and kind of get involved with a triangle like that.
Yeah.
So he was very much trying to like do it via the process
Yeah.
where they encourage that.
Would
And
you
I was like,
would you say you're a decisive person and you're an indecisive person?
I think it depends, because I can be very indecisive on certain.
It depends
Topics.
for me too.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
classify myself as either or.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Classic
indecisive.
indecisive.
I can't decide if I'm indecisive or not. I'm not sure.
Perfect.
Okay. Do you wish you had gotten to experience the show in its entirety? Like we've said, so we've covered if Madison hadn't been on it, but we have established with Madison on the show, there was no world in which you say yes to him in the pods, which makes me feel a little bit better, I guess.
Yeah.
Correct?
With Madison on the show.
And they have the
In the
connection
e-
they have.
in the events that it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there's no world in which. Okay, but do you wish, let's say Madison, let's eliminate Madison from
Sure.
this. Do you wish that you had gone through the whole experience together? You get to the altar and all the things. I'm just curious. Like, do you feel you missed out, or do you feel like you got exactly the amount of Love is Blind you wanted to get out of this?
Do you want to go?
Yeah. So looking at everyone who went through the process, all of our friends from the show, it was a lot to take on, like cameras, a wedding, meeting your parents, all within 6 weeks. It's a crazy sped up process that I don't know if I would have thrived in. I don't think they did, but they still made it out well. And I think there's a lot of turmoil that goes into the relationships when you're putting that amount of stress on,
I
your
totally
partner.
Yes.
agree. I think you guys are lucky in a way.
That's how I feel.
Honestly, yeah. Like
Yeah.
because we had the pressure of just taking off, we could go do our own thing without cameras on us. We could get to know each other for who we are. If we had tough conversations,
Which is the
we could just do
normal
them in
way
private.
this would happen.
Exactly.
If you
Right.
had on opposite sides of a wall relationship, that's how you'd start it,
Right.
as opposed to getting married.
for sure.
Yeah.
So is all this to say that you have Madison to thank?
I will be honest with you, only in this one area,
Yeah.
we have said those exact words.
Okay.
We have said we're so grateful everything happened exactly how it did
Yeah.
for our story. Because I think had we gone to the altar, I wouldn't have had confident enough.
No.
I wouldn't have been confident to say yes to a lifelong marriage
Yeah.
in 6 weeks when I think would have had so much to figure out still. I think I would have said no. I think you may have said yes, just knowing who you are and because you've told me that.
Probably.
You would have been undecided.
So I think if that had happened, I don't think we'd be where we are now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if we'd be talking. I don't know if we'd be friends. I don't know if we'd have
Wow.
any kind of relationship.
So public thank you to Madison, maybe?
Where's the
We're gonna do
camera?
it? Let's do it.
Madison. All thanks
you
to
know,
you.
I think that's in a way you really have the sweet spot because there's apparently there's a couple from your season that is engaged that we never saw. Is this
Yeah.
true?
Yeah.
Like the invisible couple.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
couples get cut all the time.
Right.
Yep.
And so you got to be like major players. And really, I am not just saying this because you're here as our guests. Like your scenes, really the Alex Madison, Meg Mason dynamic made the first 6
Yeah.
episodes of this season.
And this is what
truly.
people wanted to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not just saying this, but we got robbed. We totally.
Gonna punish you a little more.
It's your fault. He wanted to do it.
Meg made the right decision. I'm proud of her for putting herself forward.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Conviction.
Yeah.
That's really your theme. I love that.
Thank you.
I'm working on that in my life. Like I struggle a bit with like what you struggle with, which is like, what he wants. I'm like, yeah, I want that too. That sounds great. Like I'm trying to exercise the muscle that is to like know what I want, and it's shockingly hard
Yeah.
to find.
I think
Yeah.
we're both
It is.
Mason in this relationship. No?
But are we? I feel like
I'm definitely Mason.
no, I am Mason.
Really? I feel I'm more Mason
I feel
than
sorry
you.
for you guys.
I feel like I'm more willing to
You
like
think
just
I'm
do
Meg?
whatever you like. I'm
Mason.
like
Let's go.
Okay.
I'm
I'll be
I'm
Meg.
more Meg in like smaller things.
Okay.
I think, especially aesthetic things, like
Yes,
smaller
definitely.
choices, but like
Right.
big life decisions. I am Mason all
Yeah,
the
we're
way,
both
and
Mason.
it sucks.
Okay.
He's like, I feel your pain.
It's a burden. It's a burden
It's a
being me.
burden.
Charlene, what do you got over there?
I've got a ruby in my
Let's
lap.
see. Let's see what you got. Show them the ruby.
Look at her. And I ask you, Shandies, does Ruby look unhealthy or unhappy? Or does she look like she feasts on human grade dog food at every meal? And that's where Sunday's dog food comes in.
Sundays is a revolutionary dog food.
It's a revolutionary product. It is human grade dog food, 90% meat, 10% superfoods, 0% synthetic nutrients or artificial ingredients. But what makes Sundays so cool is that it is air dried. So it works in your life like kibble. It's convenient like kibble. You don't have to freeze it. You don't have to refrigerate it. You don't have to keep track of when you defrosted it. And therefore you've only got X number of days. But with Sundays, you don't have to think like that. It's like it's scoopable. It's dry, but Ruby loves it.
Don't you feel better feeding Ruby human grade food?
Yes.
Doesn't it make you feel good?
Yes.
And that's what's important. It's
Yes.
us.
It's
us feeling good.
It's about us. And honestly, I could not sell people a dog food if I didn't think it was actually good for Ruby or that she actually loved it or that it was good for her.
we have way too much shame.
We can see it in her eyes, in her breath, in her coat, in her poops. Like she is in tip-top shape when she eats Sundays. I feel like she's getting like max nutrition every time she eats
She's
this
eating
stuff.
better than us.
Yes.
So get 40% off your first order of Sundays.
Go to sundaysfordogs.com/Shandy or use code Shandy at checkout.
So Charlene, in the past, I have been known to take many a supplement.
Yes. In fact, there have been times where I wanted to stage an intervention and
Yes.
he had so many supplements.
Yeah, it was taking up the cupboard. Valuable New York City space.
Yes.
And I never really knew if those supplements were working or not. I
Yeah.
just trusted. I was like, they're probably doing something.
Yeah, I read somewhere that maybe
Yeah.
this does something.
But AG1 made me feel the difference.
Yes, I have tried other multivitamins and like different supplements, and I end up losing interest, like not like forgetting. I don't like the hassle of standing in the kitchen like taking these pills. Meanwhile, with AG1, it's like a lifestyle. It has become truly a habit, a healthy habit. We both take our AG1 every single morning, and what it is it looks like a green powder, but it has 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, pre and probiotics, all packed into this powder. You add water. I like to add an ice cube. You whisk it. I also like to add a drop of lemon juice. I like to make it fancy, okay? And also a drop of the vitamin D3, K2. And that is your comprehensive daily nutrition in one glass. And because we feel a difference, we really do stick with this habit. Even if we go somewhere for one night, we bring our travel packs.
And traveling is a big part of our lives.
Things happen when you travel. Things don't work the same in your body.
Needs to be reset. If you could go on vacation and have a reset button, everyone would use it. And that is what AG1 has been for me. And that is what AG1 has been for you.
Yes.
And that is what AG1 can be for all of you.
So with science-backed ingredients and benefits you can feel, AG1 makes it easy to support overall wellness every day.
AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up.
You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box.
Check out drinkag1.com/DearShandy to get this offer.
That's drinkag1.com/DearShandy to start your new year on a healthier note.
All right, let's get to the juice.
Yeah, let's get to the juice. I want to hear about the reunion and what that was like watching back, because I feel like it's so meta, right? The reunion is you are going and filming this after having watched yourself back, but you are also aware that the thing you are now doing is also going to be edited for the public's consumption.
You nailed it.
So it's like on top of itself. You're like, what do I say to express how I feel and get a point across that can actually make it to air?
Yeah.
How did it feel filming that? Was there anything like when you watched that back, did you feel like the reunion was what you had envisioned for yourself and for your relationship?
The reunion for me, do you mind if I speak on this?
No, it's all you.
Because I know I have strong feelings about this one.
Yeah, no problem.
The reunion for me was the hardest part of the show. Watching it back, by far. I think I almost didn't go to the reunion because watching the show back, I really didn't feel it was true to my experience that I had in reality, live time when I was going through it. And so I wasn't sure that my voice would be portrayed accurately at the reunion. And I voiced that concern. And it was very much, like the reunion is the place to show up and say how you're feeling and leave it all out there and kind of squash your beef and say exactly what you need to say. And I was like, you're right. Like I need to show up, stand up for myself, have a voice, talk about my experience. And so we showed up. I did that. I was really proud of how I handled everything personally. I feel like I had a really hard conversation that was open and honest and spoke my truth. And I was excited to watch it back and be like, yeah, I'm proud of that girl. And we're watching it. And right before the part where I, at the reunion, start saying, this is how I really feel, it cuts off and moves on. And all of us kind of looked at each other, Mason, Alex, and I, and we're like, wait.
Oh no.
Where was the rest of it?
Or it never aired.
It never aired. Yeah.
Oh no.
And so
I'm upset hearing that.
I felt again, I almost felt like my voice was completely silenced because you didn't get any of my perspective on my true experience on the show and like what my grievances were that I wanted to talk about. And on a stage, it's important, I feel like, for me to say it to the person and have that back and forth where we can both say our perspectives. So for me, it was so important for that to show. Yeah. And then it wasn't. Yeah. So now I'm like, well, there goes that opportunity.
So what were those grievances? Like, were they towards...
Yeah. I mean, most of it, all of it was more so just I felt like I was wrongly treated in a lot of ways by Madison, especially watching it back. I was like, I was aghast. I was like,
good word.
I was
Love
like,
it.
I had no clue. Yeah. The things that were being said. And watching it back, because honestly, Madison and I were cordial. We've had conversations after the show.
That's as good as it gets with Madison. Cordial.
For us, I think,
best
yes.
friend, just cordial.
For us, that is the best we're going to do.
Okay.
And we're both okay with that. We both said, listen, we don't have to be best friends.
Wait, you said that to each other? Or
yeah.
Really?
We're both, something I respect about Madison is that we have now had 2 conversations and are both very blunt. Like, let's work through this so we can be in a group together. We don't have to be best friends. We're adults. We're both okay with that. Yeah. But we can show up and treat each other with kindness and respect.
Yes.
Nice.
It was really nice. And I was so happy that we got to that point. And then watching it back, I felt really upset with the things that were said about me. And really felt like I needed to address it because it was just upsetting. I mean, like blatant lies that were deliberate about me that I had no idea she said on camera.
Can you give us?
Yeah, let's hear.
Only because I need a refresher too. I'm just curious if there's anything that you saw her say on camera that you're like, that's not true.
A couple. I think when she goes into Alex's date and says, like, I never had a problem with Mason dating multiple people. That was always Meg's problem. That's not my issue. That's her issue.
It's so unnecessary.
It just wasn't
like you can
true.
Say your point and not mention
throw Meg under the bus too.
Name.
Like inadvertently.
It just wasn't true. And like the day before had told her that's not true and had told her the real reason that I felt like we were distant.
Yeah.
And then so for her to the next day to go and double down on that narrative when I had just told her, like, that's not the reason you and I are distant.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with Mason. That was shitty to watch.
Mhm.
And then she knew that I did not go and DM Alex without him knowing if he was engaged or not. We'd had a conversation about that before we went and filmed that scene where she was like, Alex is saying this, this, and this. And I said, it's not true. I told her exactly what it was. And then
Do you actually, so
a week or two later, she goes on camera to deliberately
say
tell
that
a
you
lie about
slid
me.
into his DMs? That did raise some eyebrows.
Yeah.
I was like, really, Alex? And
Yeah.
we since Alex has come up,
Yeah.
what's his version of that story? It seems like you guys are friends with Alex.
I mean, through the experience, I think the biggest thing we relate on is that the three of us have had a very similar experience.
Okay.
For sure.
On the show.
Yeah.
Common enemy.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Like aliens.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I know
So-
Alex called me right when he left the pods and told me, everything. So we were well aware that he was out and just doing his own thing. And
Yeah.
him and Madison were done. So
I mean, the second I saw Alex was on his phone, that immediately, they broke up in the pods. So when I had my phone and saw Alex the very next day, I was like, oh my God, they didn't get engaged. They broke up.
Yeah.
So I messaged him. I said, oh my God, what happened?
Oh.
Because we all thought they were going to be engaged and then
Okay.
they weren't. So I was like, holy shit, what
Wow.
happened? Are
So
you
it was
guys
more
okay?
like we all exited this thing together. I now
Yes.
know because you have your phone that
Yes.
you also exited. So like what
Correct.
happened in your relationship?
Correct.
Not how it was told, which sounded more like you were like, oh hey,
Yeah.
you're single.
Oh my God, not even. In fact, I called him to be like, hey, I'm thinking about dating Mason. Madison saying you called him a weirdo. Like, is there anything I should be aware of before I date Mason? So I called him being like, I'm going to date Mason. I don't know a lot about him. You're his boy. Like, I want to go into this knowing, what I'm getting into. So it was never flirty.
Oh.
I knew he wasn't
So it was like
engaged.
the opposite of
it was
flirty.
the opposite.
Yeah.
And so I feel like to watch that scene back,
Yeah.
and I'm like, girl, you knew that was a blatant lie.
Do you think there's
So-
any? Sorry.
Did he say Mason was weird?
He was like, I never said that. He was like, I love Mason. I never said he was weird. And I was
we
like, yeah, he
didn't
seems
think he
great.
said Mason was weird either. We
Yeah.
assumed that was BS.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's an
anyway,
easy thing to make up. But do you think there was any part of her that was playing up just these things to be on?
Stir the pot.
Like just sort of
Michael
have camera
Bay.
time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just curious. No, it's not a defense. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to piece together. Or do you think that this is the kind of person that she is?
I honestly don't know because I don't know her super well. I
Okay.
mean, we don't have a relationship to where I really know that. I want to believe the best in everyone. I truly
I'm
do.
the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I mean, she probably wanted some camera time. You know, I do think she probably wanted some camera time. And to me, that meet and greet at Buck Hill wasn't that fun. It felt a lot more pressured. And I know she had a really great time. She told me like I had so much fun. And so for me to know that and then watch it back and she's telling lies about me, I'm like, why did you have fun doing that? That really hurt me. So again, these are the things I wanted to address at the reunion of like, hey girl, I don't feel like you treated me like a great friend throughout this.
So you did
personally.
address
Oh,
it
yeah.
at the reunion.
Yeah.
And what was her response?
I don't think there was much of one.
no.
She said she apologized.
Oh,
And
that's the problem.
Well, she did.
Not enough response. That's why they cut it. They
Ah.
wanted fireworks.
Oh, you think?
Yeah, it was probably too tame.
She didn't pull like a printed text
no,
message
not
exchange
for
out
me.
of her
Not for me.
dress? No.
Just Alex.
No. Yeah, she did. She did say, I apologize to you. And she did. She said what I did was selfish. But to me, even that was hard because she did text me saying, I'm sorry that was selfish. But then a week later went on an interview and saying, Meg wasn't considerate of my feelings. I was considerate of hers. And so personally for me, even the apology didn't feel genuine because if you were sorry, I feel like you would echo that in your interviews. And so I'm seeing you're sorry. And then a week later, seeing you talk about me in interviews in a way saying I wasn't considerate of your feelings.
Yeah.
And you were considered, like, which is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So even the apology was hard for me. It didn't feel
Sincere.
sincere.
Yeah. It felt like lip service in the moment.
To talk about at the reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I really genuinely feel for both of you when it comes to her, and I say this. We talked about Madison so much in our recaps, and I truly, genuinely like wish her the best because I think that there's like a lot to work through there.
Yeah, she's been through a rough go.
Yeah, she's
For
been through a
sure.
rough go, and I think that none of us can really like know how that can affect you. But I also feel like you guys are just such like happy people and be around people who are positive and be inspired, and like you just want to like live your best lives and be your best,
For sure.
highest selves.
For sure.
And it's like it's something that I'm reaching a point in my life that I am being very picky about who I spend my time with because that seeps into you. It like like even the energy, like when you talk about this, it's like it's painful because it's like it feels like a wound that will never be properly healed because it's not like you will ever have a conversation with her or a closure with her or some reunion thing aired that is going to properly give you everything that you want out of the situation. It's like it forces you to be the bigger person, which is sometimes hard.
But hurt people. We talked about that. And I think that hurt people the easiest who believe that the universe is benevolent. And I think that you feel like you live in a universe that is your friend. And I think you were not, I don't want to say you were easily manipulated, but you were easy marks for the kind of work that Madison does, so to speak.
And I am too. Like watching it, I was like, I feel like one of the reasons I almost felt triggered watching Madison is because I've known Madisons in my life. And it's like, I felt like watching that scene in the third batch at that party, the big meet and greet. It's like, it's almost like I said she was radioactive. It's like you don't really want to go near there because it's just not worth it. Like you don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, I don't want to talk about Madison anymore.
Yeah, honestly, and I
really
will say, like, I feel like to your point, it's very much, I think, for me, a lesson of like, you need to let it go. Even when no one hears you, like I know my perspective, my story, and same with her. Like she has a right to her perspective on things, you know? And I could be misreading things. This is just my story. This is my perspective. These are my feelings.
Yeah.
She has the same thing and she gets to have that. And we don't wish bad on Madison.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like I wanted a voice,
of course,
you know, to say what I went through.
One of the things that I struggle with in life is feeling misunderstood.
Yeah.
And if you understand me and don't like me, then that's fine. But if you don't like me based on not understanding me, it's like, well, let me just clarify. And then you can decide that you don't like me. So I fully understand why you feel that way.
Do you feel you've got everything out now? Are you good?
Is there anything else I want to know? Was there anything else?
Give me a drink. No, I do. I feel better.
Yeah.
I think. And like I said too, I think it's just tough because I'd rather have that conversation with her because everyone has a right to their perspective. And so you want that back and forth.
I remember leaving the reunion and being really proud of Meg. Like she stood up to someone, you know, a great role model to actually get up there and, you know, on that stage to be able to speak your piece and do it in the way she did. I was just really, really proud and just
that's great.
Heartbroken when, you know, it didn't come through. Like what a great example that would have been for everyone else in the world to see someone do something like that and just kind of didn't get the light of day that it should have. So it was a bummer.
Thank you.
That's so sweet.
He's just been great through all of it. So
that's really sweet. That's a sweet thing to notice too. So curious at the reunion, the infamous receipts, if they can be called that. I'm curious because I feel like one of the things that I felt was edited out that was like a true reaction to her pulling out the receipts, Madison pulling out the receipts between her and Alex. And there's these emojis, for example, saying, oh, they had their introduction wearing their original outfits.
Okay.
3 skull emojis.
Oh, 3, not just one.
So what were your thoughts when you saw that? Did you know it was coming?
Did you care?
Crickets.
Most importantly.
I think they had a lot of shots of us just sitting on the couch, just pretty blank face. Just,
Puzzled as to why it was being shown.
I mean, the way when I saw receipts fly out of nowhere, I was like, this is it.
This is it.
This is where we look like idiots on camera.
Yeah.
And Alex is going to like be locked away forever because he said horrible things about us.
Sure.
And I'm like sweating bullets. I'm like, whoa, this is going to be bad. And then we keep going and I'm like,
meh.
All right. I looked at Alex and I was like, skull emojis. Like, you know, I was like, don't ever go there again. And so it was kind of a funny thing for us. Like, honestly, like we were kind of like.
I felt like Alex too was kind of like, oh man, what does she have? And then he was like,
Yeah.
melty face emoji.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, we were
whoa.
all prepping ourselves
Yeah.
for the worst.
Yeah, you
And
got hit with many emojis. It's rough, rough day.
a lot of emojis. And that's why I'm like, wait, you wanted to show that, but not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I'm like, why are you showing the emojis on camera? Like when it didn't really prove much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we were really hoping for something.
Yeah.
Something good. I mean, she printed it.
I was hoping,
Yeah.
I was actually hoping for what happened. I didn't want there to be good stuff. So I was
Yeah.
rooting for you guys.
Dude, I was waiting for the juicy too. I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be juicy television. Like, holy shit. And then,
Womp
the
womp.
skulls came out.
Same thing with the last receipts. The QR code or whatever
Oh,
it
the
was.
QR.
The QR
Ult-
code.
Talking about Ultimatum.
What was
Did you
that?
watch Ultimatum?
Wild. I did see the QR code nail. That was wild.
So you
Yeah.
watched Ultimatum?
Yeah,
And do you
that
generally
season.
watch Love is Blind and the other
I've seen a
shows?
few seasons.
Okay.
Oh my God, please ask Mason this question.
I do not watch reality TV.
At all?
No, I had never heard of the show until I was reached out to by a recruiter to actually apply for it. So,
Wow. They just reached out to you
Yeah.
just randomly.
Yeah.
And then did you watch any of research before?
Yeah, when I was DM'd on Instagram and then thought it was spam, so I didn't open it. And then I had a free weekend and saw the notification. I was like, all right, I'll click on it. And then actually saw it and it said, hey, it sounds crazy, but you want to try out for Love is Blind.
Huh.
So then went to YouTube, typed in Love is Blind trailer, and was like, okay, well,
Good YouTube shout out.
it seemed like an actual good way. Usually my relationships are based on appearance. So I'm always going for someone who, I'm just over the hill, over the moon, over the hills.
Over the hills.
You got it.
Yeah.
Close enough.
And this was a good opportunity for me to actually get to know someone for who they are as opposed to what they look like. So I was like, all right, this seems to be my problem in general. So I'll just go fix this right now.
Wow, I love this.
So,
And you did, sort of.
Yeah, it all worked out. So, but yes, do not watch The Ultimatum.
Okay. I was going to say, I want you on for a recap one day.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
I
for
would
a future
love
show.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, can I tell a quick story? I called Mason recently, like before the reunion, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm watching recap videos on YouTube of all of the Love is Blind season so I can see what goes on at the reunion since I'm going to be at it in a week. Like I need to know what happens at the reunion. So he's like speed watching all the seasons, just the recaps on YouTube to get to the
Amazing.
reunion and be like, what is the reunion? And how do you act? And what do I
Wow.
do? And what do I wear? And I was dying.
I was
Aw.
giving her updates while I was
Yeah,
just on the treadmill. Just, this happened on episode blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
this season.
Okay, so we're going to transition now into a love fest because
Love
you guys
that.
are together.
Officially.
Officially, love
This is the
it.
exclusive.
We want to know how, like a year out, being together, being off, being back together again, how do you complement each other other than the energy thing?
Yeah. I think something we recently talked about was the fact that I'm a little bit more type B, always in the clouds, more last minute with things, daydreamy, and he's a lot more grounded
Okay.
and like, let's focus on what we need to do and then we can daydream. And so one of my really good friends said, like when you're someone who's more type B, just go with the flow. You're the kite and you need to find someone who's a stake in the ground that will let you, blow with the wind, but they're always going to hold you down.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I have found in this relationship,
Oh, that's
which
so
has been
nice.
really nice.
That's
yeah.
so nice. I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Also,
I'm going to use that.
also, he's stroking her neck while she's
I
saying it.
noticed.
Now you-
I noticed.
You just made it weird. You just made
Give me the back
weird.
camera.
Yeah.
Close up.
Mason, how about you?
For me, I think it's communication. I mean,
Mhm.
we've been there. We touched on it earlier this entire year for each other, just thick
Yeah.
and thin. And I know a lot of people who went through this experience are friends who made it to the altar and they've just, the guys have had the guys and the girls have had the girls, but no one's really had what we have, which is, a perspective on both ends and just clear and constant communication and being there for each other. And, I've never really had that in a partner, and it's just been a breath of fresh air, especially for something this crazy and something that has a lot of trauma.
Yes.
And trauma bond together.
Yes.
Well, hey, but here's my other question. Sorry. One of the takeaways I have from the season of Love is Blind is that Minneapolis is like a tiny, tiny town based on the fact that everyone seems to know each other. Were you never really going to meet in the real world?
Dude.
I don't think we would have,
No.
honestly.
And also, what I love so much about this is that both of us just moved to the cities months before we went on the show.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't know anybody.
Where did you move from, each of you?
I moved from a small town in South Dakota, Sioux Falls.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how about you?
And I had just moved back from Iowa.
Okay.
The cities. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know
Love it.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
I saw a reel online that said like everyone knows each other. And like the guy who made the reel was like cousins with
Yeah.
Molly and like went to high school with Taylor. And
Yeah.
it made me laugh. But okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
It makes me feel a bit better about things to know that you
Yeah.
couldn't have just met at one of the 6
No.
bars that people seem to frequent.
We would have never met. There's
Okay.
no way.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we want to know how you fight.
Yeah.
Andy, this is your question.
I love this one. And who says sorry first?
That's me.
I don't think you've ever had to. I mean, you say sorry for everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You say sorry for everything. Yeah.
Sorry.
From South Dakota or Canada?
Sorry.
Sorry for apologizing to someone.
Yeah, the other day I was like, Mason. We were watching a show. I was like, Mason. I was going to come on the show. And he was like, I'm sorry. I know I haven't eaten my food and it's going to get cold. I was like,
Oh.
I was going to talk about the show. So like very much a sorrier.
Yeah.
I feel like you're misunderstood.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do you think I'm right about this?
Well, I find that there was talk of you being a player,
yeah.
which I was like, really?
But I can kind of see it because you have the look and kind of the voice of like.
Well, just because you could be you do have the voice of a player. Honestly, I feel like I'm getting played. But if you look, just because you look like you could be a player, it doesn't mean you're a player. I think people were just like, oh, he looks like a player. What does that even mean?
Well, and he was.
If
I
he
think
didn't seem like a
weighing his
player.
options.
Does he seem like a player to you?
No, he's not a player. He's so the opposite. And in the pods, I knew that.
Okay.
Because I said, if you're at a bar, can I tell this story?
Yeah, absolutely.
I said, when you're at a bar, like, how do you hit on someone? Like, I was trying to pull a little
Intel.
player out of him, you
Yeah.
know?
He's
I
like,
was like,
hit?
oh.
On?
Yeah. He's like, I would
On?
never hit someone. No, he was like, oh, just go up and compliment them. Like, I really love your shirt. I was like,
That's good.
that's
Good.
cute.
That
but
is
also,
player, though. That's player.
Right?
Is
Yeah.
that though?
Pretty good.
no, it's so sweet. It was like the sweetest, most mellow way and just like genuine.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, honestly, because of me being like, stand up for yourself, have a backbone, just thinking like, Mason doesn't have one bad bone in his body. He really doesn't. And I wish he had like 2 bad bones.
Aw.
And that's what I told him. I was like, I just want you to have 2 bad bones in your body and just kind of like give me some shit every once in a while,
Yeah.
you know? But he is so kind, the kindest person and man I've met. So for people to think he's a player or somehow doing things maliciously or manipulating could not be further from the
That
truth.
was a mic drop moment for
Yeah.
me at the reunion when you were like,
Oh,
what
yeah.
did you
It
say?
was
You're like,
amazing. What was the exact?
what do you
Did
like?
you let him
I'm
say it?
flattered.
What did
You think I
say?
can be manipulative? Yeah, you go.
Yeah, I think I said I'm flattered that you think I'm smart enough to manipulate someone.
Yeah.
We
Great.
laughed out loud. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that you bring up my appearance as like some of the reason, or could be a reason people would think I'd be a player. It's like because when I watch it back, I was like, I was just being myself and trying to figure it out, people.
And I mean, I feel like Dave led on to women way more than you did, like based on like what he was telling them. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like
I mean,
for
Dave
people to put
gave
them in.
obvious player vibes, but he wasn't a player either. Was he so
Right.
clumsy? Like he wouldn't even know
Yeah,
how to
but
be a player.
what I'm saying is for people to put them in the same category to me is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. It is now time for the Dear Shandy Newlyweds Game.
Yay. Woohoo.
Bring it on.
This is us going off script
Yeah.
because I just feel like
Yeah. We got there.
we got there and I
Yeah.
mean, you guys are together. Let's
And we
see.
didn't know if this was a love fest.
No, we're turning it
It's
into
like a
one
friend
because there's so
fest. Who wants a
cute-
friend
I know. Who wants a friend fest?
No one.
Let's see. Who should we start with? Let's start with Mason, meaning Meg. This is your point to win or lose. Question number 1. Mason, what is your shoe size?
9.5.
No?
I get a reveal?
Yeah.
9.5.
Wow. Mm.
Let's go. We
Very
just talked about that.
nice.
Damn.
Very nice.
That was
Okay.
a good start.
Got
Meg,
the
how
half
about
size.
you? And your face, her face, it looked like she didn't know it.
I did not know that.
Wait,
I
you
did
just
not know.
guessed 9.5?
Yeah, because we talked about how you had small feet, but I don't think you told me the size.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Damn.
That's
okay.
a good
It's
small
even more impressive.
size
Yeah.
guess.
Accurate.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
was like, 9 seems too small. 10's way too big.
That's what I'm saying.
It was just,
it's
yeah.
good.
Deductive reasoning
like
there.
that.
Meg, what is your shoe size?
8.5. What do you got?
7.5.
Dang. No, I got confused, baby.
Meg is winning already. Mason, what was your first ever job, meaning the first thing you ever got paid to do?
Dairy Queen.
Yeah, got it.
Dairy Queen?
Got it. Dairy Queen. DQ.
Oh,
way.
I knew
nice.
it.
I worked there for 5 years in high school.
Yeah.
5 years. Oh, you did time at Dairy Queen.
Yeah. 1 year in college, I should. Yes. 4 years in high school.
Like, can you tell us some secrets about Dairy Queen?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
this another episode?
Is there is there dairy in that ice cream? Is it real
Yeah,
ice
is there
cream?
any milk?
I don't know much about the chemistry of the ice cream.
Oh.
But I know I can make a mean
Okay.
blizzard for you guys.
Oh.
Okay. Can you do it outside of Dairy Queen?
I could try. It's probably gonna be
Whip it up in a
little
blender?
Yeah.
different. Yeah.
My
Okay.
beef with the blizzard is when it's over blended. Like I want chunks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone wants chunks.
Yeah, that
I
drives me
totally
crazy
agree
too.
with you.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Do you
Yeah,
guys
we're
know? Do you know the Georgia mud fudge
Mm-mm.
secret
Sounds
menu?
like a sex thing.
Do you know the
Good
Georgia mud
name drop.
fudge?
Oh, I know it well.
You know the Georgia mud
That's right.
fudge?
Yeah.
Wait, it's only you can only get it in Georgia?
No.
No, it's a flavor you can get. It's not on the secret
menu.
Oh,
It's on
wow.
it is on the secret menu.
Well, okay.
It's not on a menu,
Okay.
but it's something that when I was a kid, it was on the menu and they took it off. And I still order it to this day. And they still make it to this day.
Amazing.
I'm
You
gonna get
You
that.
have to get
we're
it.
gonna
It's the
have to
best.
sidebar this. This is gonna be another
Okay,
conversation
okay,
for
okay.
another
Yes,
day.
yes. We
Well,
gotta get
Meg now is 2 for
This
2.
is incredible.
Very impressive.
Wow.
I'm impressed.
Yeah. Everyone's
And I'm
impressed.
winning, so I'm happy.
Everyone's impressed.
Okay, Meg, how about you? What was your first ever job?
I was a cashier at the local grocery store.
Waitress.
No, I've never been a waitress.
That's I wouldn't have guessed the grocery store.
Oh,
either.
this is not going well. Okay. Mason, if you could only listen to one musician, band, or composer for the rest of your life, who would it be?
Kanye West. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Kanye?
Kanye.
Really?
Yes,
What you got against Kanye? Just because he's a bad person doesn't mean he doesn't have good music.
yeah. I was a huge.
I still watch
fan.
Woody Allen movies.
Okay. No, it was just, I'm sorry.
Yeah, how dare you?
Yeah.
Kanye's good. He's
Okay, you
just
got
a
it.
crazy person.
Yeah.
You got it. She got it. 3 for 3.
Yeah.
No, there was no judgment. You are projecting. Okay. How about you, Meg? You could only listen to
Okay. In this moment right now, I would say Fred again. You knew that.
I put Moulin Rouge soundtrack.
Oh, that's so good.
thought that was
Oh my god, that's so
I
good.
love the Moulin Rouge
You want to do a
soundtrack.
duet? Can you sing?
It's
Wow.
so good.
It's
It is
incredible.
so good.
So
No, that's
good.
good stuff.
Like I
Oh
can,
my
I can
gosh.
truly.
What was the one
sing
you
along.
guessed?
Moulin Rouge.
No, what was the one you?
Kanye West.
Oh
For
no!
him.
What
No,
did
what
you
was
put?
the-
Fred again.
Oh, I don't
Fred
know.
again. He's what kind of music is he? He's his own genre, really incredible. Like
Okay, we have no
makes me
time for
cry.
this.
Okay.
table it.
Okay. Question number 4, Mason. What is your bucket list travel
Not a
destination?
clue.
Barcelona.
That's what I have.
Are you kidding?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
no. I
Oh,
have,
yeah.
Spying on me in my journal.
no, I have Greece. for
Oh.
you.
That's pretty close.
Who doesn't want to go to Greece?
Mediterranean?
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, this is a safe bet.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to go
Everyone
there.
wants to go
Yeah.
to Greece. Greece is good.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh wow,
we'll talk.
you can go again for the first time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so Meg, your first miss.
I know.
Thank God, I'm relieved.
I wanted 5 for 5.
Yeah.
Don't call it comeback.
How about you? Your travel,
Iceland.
your bucket list.
Curry over
Iceland.
here.
Iceland.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you're on the board.
Wow,
You're on the board.
Nice.
That was
Very
such an easy
nice.
one. My sister and I are planning a trip right now to Iceland.
Hey,
Oh.
come on, don't nag him.
Point's a point.
Yeah,
You're right,
A
you're
point
right.
is a point.
Okay, Mason, it's your last meal on Earth. What do you order?
I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, list them off.
Go.
Pancakes,
Check.
ice cream,
Check.
and potatoes.
Oh my gosh, I had steak.
It doesn't matter. You won.
And
Yeah, you got 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
You got the point.
Wow.
Pancakes.
Damn.
every
Oh,
night.
Man.
Every
Yeah.
night. Like just
Every
straight
night?
up.
Every
Kodiak
single
pancakes,
night.
protein
Wow.
pancakes.
All
Yeah,
right.
they're
shout out Kodiak.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
Although maybe we should work on it. These
Good bring-
pancakes
yeah,
sound
sounds like
delicious.
a good pancake.
Okay, Meg, how about you? Your last meal on Earth.
Dude, I'm so lame. I said fries and ranch.
no.
The way you didn't get that, my comfort food. Fries and ranch, grilled cheese, salad.
No.
Oh, what do you think my
Oh.
favorite
I
foods
put
are?
Dark chocolate.
Oh, Mason. Oh,
You
Mason.
complain about the
You went with
chocolate.
with a woman. You went with dark chocolate. Really?
Randy.
Chocolate?
Okay.
So wait, you would rather milk?
No, I'd rather dark, but it's not my favorite
We
food by
always get
any
milk
means.
chocolate, and then Meg complains.
I'm
that
like,
it's
I
not
want dark chocolate.
Now
Oh,
that's
so if we
insulting
asked
my
the
brain.
question, what's the preference between milk and dark, you would have won.
Nailed it. Would have
Okay.
nailed it.
All right.
Yeah, would have got
Too
that
broad.
point.
Then I put Mexican and pasta. Speaking of
I'm
broad.
horrified.
Put a genre.
I'm
You put
horrified.
2 genres. Oh my! Oh, this is going to be a
just knew
negative.
I
This
was
is a
doomed.
negative point. It's a negative
Wait,
point.
you can tell who asked all the questions in this relationship. I'm always like,
Yeah.
Mason, answer me this.
See,
Answer
this
me
is a learning experience. We need more
do feel-
questions.
I do feel like if we played, it would be similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the question asking, and
Yeah.
also I feel like the act of listening. What is
Okay.
this?
Okay. Let's
Listen,
take
I
it
wanted
down
to
a
say
notch.
that, but I was like, let me go easy.
Yeah,
Let me
Yeah.
go easy.
Men
Well-
don't listen as well as they do other things.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
the benefit here is that Meg, you are the winner of the Dear Shandy
Yeah.
Newlyweds Game.
And a strong.
Ooh, was that
Strong
4 out of
showing.
5? That might have been 4
Yeah,
out of 5.
4-1.
Okay, one totally reasonable. We've had people with kids who do a lot worse.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's ever been this big a discrepancy.
That is a big, yeah. I would say that's a big one.
Well, you guys, thank you so much for joining us in person
In person,
in New York City, in Midtown. This is so
Midtown,
exciting
the
for
heart
us.
of New York City.
Yeah, at the heart of New York City, and yeah, we're just so delighted. And please stay in touch.
Yeah.
because
Absolutely.
we just.
Yeah, we want to do
I mean,
this
I had friend
again.
crushes while watching you too.
Aw.
So did I.
So
It
yeah.
And
was
I-
very mutual.
And we will be very disappointed if you break up.
No pressure
Pressure's on.
at all.
Well, you know what I have faith in, and I love this, is if you do break up, you will stay friends.
Yeah, always.
100%.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Still going
Yeah.
to be pissed off.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll sit
That-
together for you, Andy.
Thank you.
For you.
Thank you.
That is a wrap. If you enjoyed what you heard today, you know what we will ask of you, and that is to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on Instagram, and
TikTok,
leave us Apple and
Spotify.
podcast ratings and reviews. Tell your friends and generally do all the things you do to support a podcast you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Dear Shandy. Bye-bye.
Yay. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do our wrap-up now, and we thought about kicking them out, but we're going to do it anyway.
No, we do it right with them here.
So we're just going to talk about them. But
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know if I have anything to
yeah, a little
add.
disappointing. A little disappointing.
I think that in person, Mason was like more of like
More sweet.
soft,
Yeah,
sweet, like
I
kind of
agree.
misunderstood type than I was
Agreed.
expecting,
Yes.
actually.
Mhm.
Because
Even more of what we thought he was, though.
yeah, but that was more like an inkling.
Right.
You know, people aren't necessarily themselves in that setting. I truly am talking about you guys like you are not here right now.
No,
So
I
that
love it.
sort of struck me was like he was more like for him to be perceived as a player. I'm like, oh wow, that's more incorrect.
More
than-
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
Meg is exactly as expected.
Yeah. I think a little better.
Yeah. Well, because I think the one thing we touched on was the energy
Yeah.
thing, and it sounds like she got.
She has exactly the right energy.
Yeah.
I wish I had that. It's perfect energy.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I want it too. And
Yeah.
I do believe in them, but unlike you, I won't be mad if they break up because
Why
I
would
feel
you-
like, well, because I think that at the heart, having that friendship it's so hard to find that kind of friendship.
You're right. You're
And
right.
so it's almost a waste to use it up on a romantic relationship.
Wow.
But no, I love them together.
Okay, so it's
They're
a
really
win-win.
cute. Yeah. Okay. All
Anything
right.
else? Did we get
No.
any good dirt? Any tea? What do you think about the tea?
No, the tea was pretty good.
It's good tea.
I feel weird seeking tea from our guests
Yeah.
because I want them to be able to feel comfortable. So like I want them to share what they want to share.
Yeah.
Meg's nodding.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you for that.
Yeah. But no, it was great.
Yeah.
I'm satisfied with the tea.
Totally. She said she liked Dave.
Shout out, Dave.
Okay. That is a wrap for real this time. Bye.
Dear Shandy.